SAN, senior advocates of Nigeria, such as the late Nnaji, Barth, Tony Mogo, and Tony Mogo Jr. I think Tony is also Barth Tony Ali, Barth Anna Justina Ofia. At some point, it was even perceived that getting the status of SAN or a justice would have to be exclusive preserve of the upper class. The Abadas were also quite successful in producing high caliber academics, including the present day company of professors. Prior to the creation of Enugu State, the Wawalas were overshadowed and marginalized by others in the then Central States and subsequently Anambra State. The Soka people have also been feeling the sense of marginalization by the Abadas, the Kanus, and the other Wawalas, to which they introverted amongst themselves to seek political power for themselves through the agitation to renew Adala State. In fact, immediate past election was all about the various clans seeking the governorship position. Even within the established educational system, members of the various groups or clans were clamoring for positions that would enable them to have a seat at the decision-making table. For example, in terms of the political leadership rotation, Enugu Senatorial Zone was expected to produce a governorship of Enugu State. I could be rightfully accused of having led my people of Campus to solicit for support of our candidates during the election. I stand accused. The primary reason for this is that there is virtually no state or federal government presence in the campus except for government schools. There are no roads. As a matter of fact, these government schools are actually community schools built and handed over to government to a large extent. There are no roads, hospitals, federal institutions, etc. The argument went that the most marginalized local government areas in any Senatorial Zone are East and East of local governments. Therefore, both have the right, both opposed to produce the government. My people of Paris felt that they had more rights to produce the government, given that they had never produced a government. A senator, and there's in fact that this would have produced a senator before. This is how down it gets. And there is no state or federal presence except the outcome is now here. The expectation is that the clan that now has the governorship position will begin to enjoy the fruits in terms of appointments and infrastructure. At the national level, it is now called in local. This has been the established norm, except perhaps for the time of Governor Solidarity. Who happens to be an Abada son? Solomon is an example already. Who has left Enugu State in a more improved state than he met it. And his infrastructure works affected all zones of the state, not just with the child, not Abata, everywhere. Today, he can freely go about his business and will be welcomed happily by his people and others in the Enugu state. Yes. One cannot say the same. One cannot say the same for some who came before him and after him. The development mindset is of course typical of how a person who gains a top leadership position from a particular clan treats the rest of the groups in the state. However, the foregoing is not the worst example of sectionalization and marginalization. While the Abadas and the Sokas, the greater Ogo people, tend to be more inclusive amongst yourselves. You can see that from this program. The fact that you were able to organize this speaks volumes for what you can do.
Professor BC is here live. It should be post admin department.
While this is so, in your place and other places, in Kano land, is viciously polarized. This is to the extent that they have used artificial labels to segregate themselves. Someone from outside certainly cannot identify the differences in people unless the community more than 300 years ago. In fact, the lake there was named Uloka, while the place where everyone lived was called Ozamoka. In the late 1800s, before the coming of the white man, my grandfather was the Atama in charge of the principal village of Isielu and owned the largest piece of land in the whole of the community, which was over 1 square kilometers. Umoka is part of what is now Umbode Autonomous Community. It is noteworthy that no Umbode person in history has ever bought land. All Umbode persons owned and inherited land from their ancestors. The Umbodes were also the chief priests for all the major deities in the community, including the Anala deity, some point. As far as I know, there is no place in Igbo land where someone who is not an original owner of the land can serve as the chief priest of the community land or the principal deities. You would find this similarity in many parts of Kano land. So it's about artificial labor. Therefore, what really is the problem? The real problem is the quest for power over others. These days, it is the political office that determines that. So, in Kano land, a group banded themselves together and put a label on the rest. They used this cultural sexualization to contest for political offices and to take what should belong to all. This type of discrimination and marginalization has led to numerous communal crises in Kano land, sometimes resulting in the expulsion of a group from their ancestral land, and in some cases making them internally displaced people who have to live elsewhere, including in refugee camps. What happened in the recent elections in Enugu State, where one group in the Kano land dominated a political party and simply allocated all the candidates of all the elective positions to members of their group, while others from Kano land were totally excluded from vying for the elective positions, is totally unpardonable and unacceptable. That's what we're talking about. This led to the marginalized group's exodus to another party, where they competed successfully for many positions, many elected positions. This is the outcome of gross insensitivity and unnecessary sexualization by the leadership. So imagine if there was even-handedness in sharing of political offices and positions by the people of Nkano land. You know, they got together, they said, look, we're all here. Let us share these positions. Imagine what difference it would have made. It is likely, if this was done, that the politics of Enugu State today would be different. That I can tell you. The power of inclusion is what has made America great. Even though the white people of America strong-armed the Red Indians and took over their country, they recognized that they needed to be more inclusive, in their country's management than exclusive. Exclusion never works. It may just work temporarily, but for sure, it never lasts. And this is why you find African Americans, Indians, Asians, the Jews, and people of all races prospering in America. It is a free society, and many of you know this. Many of you here know this. It is only a country like United States that would allow me to rise to become a distinguished professor of engineering, a position that a white person would give his right hand to have, and I had it, to be the head of the United States National Foundation Center of Excellence in engineering. Only inclusion allows that to happen.
As you are joining
Inclusion.
you can see how
And I'm even African, I'm not even a citizen of America, and they allow this. In fact, you can imagine if somebody came here from God knows where and say he wants to run for a major office here. Anyway. So, in fact, listen to this. I represented at one time the United States of America in a North Atlantic Treaty Organization NATO research program in collaboration with my colleagues, German professors. You can imagine, I won't talk to you about what that research was about, but I was representing America. This is the power of inclusion. America is better for it. They are able to harness the talent of all and make progress for all. Compare that to when I was Minister of Science and Technology in Nigeria in the early 90s. I discovered that those who had run the government before my arrival did everything to stifle any effort to to further develop the Biafran ingenuity of Ogbunigwe and the other military arsenals developed in Biafra. The progress that could have been made in both the military and civilian technology from this has now become a loss for Nigeria. There are several disadvantages to segregation in society that have been enunciated earlier, but let me say some of them. Potential pariah status. No? That is, others just kind of stay away from you because you practice sectionalization. They don't rush to you. But imagine if you are practicing inclusiveness, they won't be with you. There is this synergistic economic effect. So instead of banding together synergistically to produce, you go the opposite way because you are busy trying to do your own and to the exclusion of the other. Imagine the energy required to exclude somebody. It requires some energy now. You know that thing that say, how many whatever it takes you to frown versus smile. It's something. So much energy required to exclude somebody. There is also scramble for clan power, rather than for robust synergistic power. Aggravated discomforts amongst the segregated and the non-segregated groups. Potential cultural warfare and eventual political schism. There are so many. On the other hand, there are several advantages for inclusiveness. Some include synergistic economic growth, political stability, unity within the populace, sustainable development, progress and love among all the groups, happiness, comfort and security within the inclusive environment, amongst others. Faced with the obvious severe development consequences in our failure to live as one people, many Enugu people love the favorite pastime of what social science scholars call attribution. We ascribe our developmental failures and problems to everyone else except ourselves. But we cannot continue along this trajectory of being in denial of our individual and collective roles in our underdevelopment. We cannot continue to play the ostrich. We should instead engage in introspection, which is self-examination. Attribution is a hallmark of societies, governments, and organizations that are underdeveloped. Attribution keeps on holding them down from generation to generation. We have seen how African nations indulge in attribution as regards other underdevelopment, while countries and territories like Malaysia, Singapore, Brazil, Hong Kong, and other former European colonies leapfrog in development. They look squarely at problems of exclusion and ensure they address them at both public and private sectors of their economies. My brothers and sisters, in conclusion, our people should work towards all the advantages bestowed on our communities for inclusion. It does not detract from who we are or what we are. It doesn't take away anything. In Enugu State, we the Wawa people must remember our history and feeling of being dominated by our brothers from other parts of East Central states. And eventually from Anambra State, which lent credits for our agitation for Wawa State, which eventually about, we all a very idea of championing for these states. We should not forget that it is the same marginalization that led to the creation of Ebonyi State. The Ebonyi people felt severely marginalized by other groups in the current Enugu, Anambra, Imo, and other states. Matter of fact, I remember Governor Nnaji, we asking him to do something that was pan-Igbo. Said he didn't want these people to come and dominate them again. Just leave them alone. It's all about the practice of exclusion versus inclusion.
Professor.
We should not forget that the current scorching situation in the land is as a result of sectional domination and marginalization. It behooves all sections of Enugu State to advocate for accommodation, tolerance, and inclusion. It is the only way that we can achieve economic, social, and technological progress. I thank you, my brothers and sisters.
That's a speech by Professor Barth, Nnaji.
Thank you very much. Since I warned you that next year, but because we have quickly go back to the chairman so that he will direct the discussants to try and discuss, and perhaps maybe eventually we'll take one or two contributions or questions from the audience after the discussions. Thank you very much.
Chairman. This event is under the chairmanship of His Royal Highness Igwe Mike Ileji, Igwe Mike Uzikwe.
Chairman of professors wants us to go ahead and this. The term of vice president, people carry away and so on. But I just need to make one, to write one to extraction from two papers. What's in there said what it is. When the papers are missing. How can a student write exams and somebody really remove this on a paper for the sake of the student to come around and start offering God thoughts? But it happened to me. It happened to me as a leader when I had my MBA. Somebody said, you know, I was the CEO of the and I was going to toilet without seeing you. And one paper got this. Yes. But I needed to tell you why we are doing something like that. And the relation of the field. Nnaji was talking, we know that he had to say, missing paper, missing salary. But let's say one person can cause a change in the whole nation. It requires discipline. It requires people being given or told to do common things without caring which box is gone. But it doesn't matter. In any forum, I refer to it. Because I worked directly with him. And when he came to the seat of the power industry, I went to myself that now we the people went there for generations of Nigeria. They don't see God because we are idiots. They couldn't hide the net and carry our support. He got it through men and saying, and all of the CEOs to meet and said everybody should agree to what we believe. And one of us that if you don't believe, and if you don't believe, I took you off. Incidentally, he had a friend, Engineer Barth. Engineer Barth was a fantastic instrumentation engineer. The transmission network, Engineer Barth was fantastic. And the other used to like to drink choice wines. My professor is a king of that. So each time they are drinking it, how comes? He never was his best friend. One time the Prof travel abroad, and there was a system collapse for like 3 days. He never was nowhere to be found. The president was asking us, where is the root? Really talking about it. Never. Coordinating and accepting instantly. And then we all of us to stand more seriously. That was the day the problem in the power sector really hit. Because it was on politics. Because it was trying to let's start working to organize and so on.